They are living in an Islamic state. That option is not, because what Islam is given is the best. If you go to US and then you did something or someone did something bad against you, which law are you going to be judged with? Is it Nigerian Constitution or the Constitution of US? Will you now tell them that you don't agree with that? You are living in their town. You have fulfilled the condition of the visa before you applied. When you applied for visa, it means you are going to abide by whatever they have stated in their country. As if this is wrong in America and it's right in Nigeria, if you do it in America, it's wrong. And you won't say that in Nigeria it is right. That is why they are living in an Islamic state. That is the option. This is ijma. There is nothing wrong. I just gave you an example that is clear now. You are still shocked. Will you seek for another option in US if they judge you by the US Constitution if you are living there? Is it possible? No, I want you to answer. Is it possible? It's not possible now. So, see, these things, there are practical examples. Islam says the one that leaves the religion, alaysa kadhalik, the one that did ridda and then leaves the jama'ah of the Muslims, is one of the people that should be killed, alaysa kadhalik. And people are saying, why? Why is it that if someone leaves, the soldier of your country, he leaves and joins the other army in the battlefield and runs away from you, if they catch them, what do they do with them? They kill them now. If a soldier from Russia runs to US, if Russia arrests him, what do? They kill him. It's the international law. But when it comes to Islam, people will be saying, why? Why is it like that? But in the practice of the international law, every day you see people doing that. But whenever it comes to the laws of Allah, people are surprised. You can't go to someone's house and then you dictate to him how to do. That is why they have the option. It's ijma now between him and a Muslim. So you want Islam to be under another law? Now, as a Muslim, you have the option of Quran judging between you and someone. And then you have the option of constitution that is full of errors. And then as a Muslim, you say no. Because the Christians say he doesn't agree with Quran. You will now be the one to agree with his constitution? Is living in the Islamic state. Remember, Islamic state. When you have agreed to live in someone's environment, you abide by his laws. If you don't agree with the laws, leave. They were living in Mecca. The Mecca people say, we don't agree with what you are preaching. Allah said, leave Mecca for them, go to Medina. It's as simple as ABCD. And because the laws of Allah are supreme, that is why if it is between a Muslim and we have a general rule. Al-Islam ya'lu wa la yu'la alayh. Islam does not overpower. Islam cannot be overpowered. And that is why a Muslim woman is haram for her to marry a Christian or a Jew. But a Muslim man is allowed to marry a Christian and a Jew. Why? It's the same reason now. The Muslim man is the man of the house. Everywhere, marriage, the man of the house. The father, the husband is the one that is charged with the responsibility of the household. Which means is the one that is in control of the household. The woman that is a Christian or a Jew, she is under the rulership and the leadership of the Muslim husband. But if the reverse is the case, the Muslim woman now marries a Christian or a Jew, which means Islam is now under Judaism and Christianity. That is why it is haram. These things are very simple. You can't go to them and give them yours if you are living in their societies. They say don't wear hijab because you have come to my country. Will you now say that I'm a Muslim, I'm in your country, I must wear? They say it's our law. If you don't want, that is why in UK they tell you, you say they are teaching children homosexuality, LGBT. If you don't like, take your children back to Africa. But as long as you are living in our land, whether you agree or not, this is our rule. It's the same thing as long as you are living in a Muslim society. And then compare Islamic Sharia with that. Is there any basis for comparison? They will never get justice beyond what they will get in Islam. And that is why Allah revealed verses of the Quran. I've forgotten the verses now. Clearing a Jew that was wrongfully accused in Medina. Clearing a Jew. Is that not justice? That is justice. The reason why I'm very stand on this is because yesterday, the Muslim Lawyers Association invited me. They had their iftar and award night yesterday. And then we had, with Professor Abikon, we had a panel discussion with respect to this Sharia panel in the southwestern Nigeria. That's why it's still fresh, and then it's very painful. You know, you are being ruled. The Muslims are majority in Lagos. The Muslims are even majority in the southwest. Before colonial masters came to Yoruba land, there was no Christianity. There was no Christianity. The high courts and the courts that you have today, they are Christian laws. But you are compelled. So if the Muslims say privately we want to organize our own, who are you to deny them? You are forcing them to do that. And that is why in the north they already had their own Sharia court of appeal, Sharia, this and that. So this is very, very critical. You know what they did to the, I'm sorry to say, what they did to the Yorubas in the southwestern Nigeria, that is, it's a wake-up call for the Yorubas. At a time, as the professor was saying yesterday, at a time, you will not be given admission to study Western education if you are not a Christian. So you have Muslims changing their names to Christian names. And that is why today, in Yoruba land, hardly you find a family there is not a Christian there. Is that something to be proud of? It's a defeat. It's a defeat. And hardly you find highly placed Yorubas without a Christian wife. And then in the house they say, you know, we are very liberal. It's not liberalism. And part of the history, as the professor said yesterday, because mostly the Islam came to them, and then because coupled with the Yoruba culture of entertainment and this thing, what they it came to them, as one of the historians said, leisurely. So they see it as something of them. That is why there is that freedom. And then I can go to church. You see Muslims going to church, not wearing cap with their babariga, just to show that we are together on Christmas. And then this, that is haram. But it's something that has happened over a century. So generation after generation, you have been brought up in an environment where you felt these things are normal, but they are not normal. It's a defeat. So today, and then at a time again, for you to look sophisticated also because of the favor. Because of the favor. Like the Western education, like other favors, appointments and other things. So some were forced to be marrying into Christian families. So that you have that leverage. And then what happens at the end of the day? The reason why you have been asked to marry a Christian or a Jew is so that you can have that ability to even showcase Islam, and then they embrace Islam. But where you have a situation where at the end of the day your children are not professing Islam, is that love? You know that without Islam you not enter Jannah, and then you allow your children like that? And then you die, and then she says, okay, pack your things and let's go. No, we have to. It's this new generation, you should start thinking about it. Up to date, Lagos has more Muslims, right? Up to date. But you are talking in 2000 when Nasfat, Mulan, Nakomium, this the Congress, Islamic Congress, IC, when all of them gathered and then they were pushing for the Sharia panel, not Sharia law, after the declaration of Sharia in Zamfara, they pushed it. In Yoruba, they started in Ibadan, they had their meeting, they came to Lagos, they did this since 2000. And these Sharia panels have been existing in Yoruba land, in these 4 major states there. And then today, what are you having? And then in order to show something, and then you see, I'm sorry to say, it's not a tribe. I know majority of people here are Yorubas, you know. It's not at the risk of sounding tribalistic. You see that they will go on social media and feeling that, you know, we are the most tolerant Muslims. We go to church. No, wallahi, that is not Islam. You have to stand. You have to stand. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Truth stands out clearly from falsehood. If there is anything for you to do, is to showcase the beauty of Islam so that they can see the beauty of Islam and embrace Islam. Be a true Muslim, and the Yoruba Christians, they will embrace Islam. The traditionalists will embrace Islam. You first be a true Muslim. That is the reality with everyone. Is that understood? So it's not something, our time is up, right? Yeah. Kaaba is a creation. You can say by the Rabbi Kaaba. You take an oath with Allah, the Lord of Kaaba. That is how you do. Kalla wa Rabbil Kaaba. The Lord of Kaaba. But power of Kaaba. Does Kaaba has power? Umar bin Khattab was kissing the black stone. He said, Wallahi, you are just a stone. Had it not been that we are commanded to kiss you, I wouldn't have even looked at you to even touch you. But it's ibadah. Umar is telling you that all these things, they are ibadah. That is why Dr. Ahmad Gumi in his tafsir this year was saying that when you see people going to the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ and then they visit the grave of the Prophet, you see them kissing, they are struggling to touch the iron gate there. He said those are irons from Turkey during Ottoman Empire. You are just touching irons that were made from Turkey. Wallahi, that's the reality. Like someone will say, I want that black Kaaba something, and wallahi, there is nothing of benefit from there. Islam is simple now. Is it not the Prophet that taught us all of these things? And then you see people. Last year, I saw someone raising his hands, crying, Ya Rasulullah. I said, Hada shirk. In Medina, Hada shirk. He just looked at me and hissed, go away, you don't. They look at you as someone that does not love the Prophet. But it's the Prophet that said that now. See, Qibla, if you are praying to Allah, where do you face? If you want, it's Qibla. When you are turning against the Qibla, because you have to turn backwards against the Qibla to face the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. But the Saudi government is trying, they put scholars there that will keep reminding you. The only thing they can do is to remind you. They keep telling you that this is shirk, this is haram, this is shirk. If you do it, you answer to Allah. It's an Islamic world. So they have no right to prevent people from doing other things. It's an Islamic world. They are all Muslims. Makkah and Medina belongs to all Muslims. And that is why you see they get away with. They can only warn you. They tell you that it's wrong. But it's very sad. You see people doing all of these things. The Prophet said, if you go to the grave of the Prophet Sallallahu, what is the Sharia? Assalamu alayka ya Rasulallah. You move a bit because the Prophet is here, then a bit forward like this, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, then a bit forward like this, Umar, then you move a bit, and then you say, Assalamu alayka ya Abu Bakr. And then you move forward, Assalamu alayka ya Umar. Wallahi, 10 seconds you are done, and your reward, inshallah, is assured. But if you stay there and you raise hand and you say Rasulullah Sallallahu, you are risking being a mushrik. So which one are you going to follow? The teaching of the Prophet or what you think will take you close to Allah? Today they say only people with ihram will do tawaf at the ground floor. Then you go there and then there is mataf at the upper floor and then at the upper floor. And then you did your umrah and then because you believe that it has to be tawaf at the ground floor and then you went back and washed your ihram and then you put it on again and then you deceive the securities. Can you deceive Allah? Deceit in the house of Allah. So these are things. Islam is a very simple religion. The Prophet saw someone standing in the sun. He was giving khutbah on Jummah and someone was standing in the sun. He was not talking to anyone. Then it was very sunny. You know Medina now. The Prophet ﷺ in the khutbah, strange. Everyone is seated. One person is standing. What is the problem with this man? What is happening there? They say, Ya Rasulullah, he vowed that he's not going to sit down. He's going to stand under the sun. He's not going to take any shade. Allah will reward him. And he's not going to speak to you. And the Prophet ﷺ said, command him to sit down, take a shade, and then let him complete the fasting that he has started. And then let him speak to people. You can't. If someone comes to the masjid by 10 o'clock in the morning, it's inside air condition with scented environment, good fragrance, and then you came when Imam is doing khutbah, and then you stopped at the road, and then it's very hot, you are doing sujood, and then you don't have any reward more than the reward of the person that is inside. The one inside air condition has more reward than you because he came early. So don't say because you are doing sujood and sun is and then more reward. No. Islam is very simple. You don't sit down and then concoct things. Bismillah, the last one, please. With respect to the first one, if someone implements what Allah asks them to implement, and then they do not perfect it, it's not an excuse for you. Allah says we should pray, and then someone is praying, is not praying properly. Does it mean that you are supposed to copy from him? No, I'm talking about with respect to Zamfara issue. If Zamfara was meant to be a specimen, and then Zamfara failed, does that mean that nobody should try again? It doesn't mean that nobody should try again. And it doesn't mean that if the Yorubas, if the Southwest picks it up, that they cannot perfect it. It means that they study what went wrong in Zamfara. In fact, if there is anything, it should be an advantage for the Southwest. That what led to the lack of proper implementation of it in Zamfara, you study it, sponsor research on it, so that you'll avoid it. Simple. And then with respect to the second issue, the culture the second issue and the third are the same. Like the Islamic teachings, and then you marry someone, and then you find out that it's not treated, and then you are saying, where is Islam? That is the person now. That is not Islam now. There are bad Muslims, there are bad Christians. Because there is someone that is married into a Christian family, haram, so a Muslim woman marrying a Christian, that is haram. Haram in the sight of Allah, there is no marriage. The children are children of zina. And because there is that one, and then he's treating her very, very well, and then the alpha is beating his wife. I know, I'm coming. No, I'll pick on that. And then the last one is still fresh, is the one that is fresh on, like the deeper life you mentioned. And then the sister is married to alpha, and the alpha is beating her. Does that mean that she should? Then the third party that is comparing the two will say, see, this sister is married to a Christian, is treating her very, and the alpha is alpha what you should use to judge Islam? Quran and Sunnah now. You said, وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Allah says, live with them honorably. Then look for the one that will implement the fear of Allah. The one that fears Allah, you marry your daughters to them. That is what the Prophet ﷺ said. He didn't say just marry your daughters to anyone. He said the one that fears Allah and is of good character. So the Prophet gave you the formula now, even within the Islamic society. So even the Muslims like Muslims, this is not the first time. Even in Zamfara, you had people that didn't want it to happen. Even in the north, you had people that there will always be resistance. What is important is for you to have sincerity of purpose. There is no politicizing of it. You are doing it for the sake of Allah, for the betterment. You believe that that is what is good for the Muslims. And then you push for it. Allah sees your effort. But if there is failure here and there, that does not mean that you should justify and juxtapose everything. Because in a family there is one bad person, doesn't mean that the entire family is bad. And then I should not use, a daughter marries into a family in a particular state, and then they treated her badly. And then someone that is God-fearing came from the same side, and the mother is saying that I'm not going to allow my daughter to go to that town because of the experience of the first marriage. That is not human thinking. Do you understand? So we need to understand these things. You will have, and let me tell you the trick. This is not only in Yoruba now. It happened in the Arab countries. Islam came to us through the Arabs. So let me tell you, Hosni Mubarak of blessed memory had a wife that was not a Muslim. Zainuddin Abidin of Tunisia, his wife was not a Muslim. Yasser Arafat, his wife was not a Muslim. King Hussein of Jordan, his wife was not a Muslim. All of this, it didn't happen overnight. That is what I'm telling you. Yesterday, I didn't say it was a Yoruba professor that was saying it yesterday. That was the first time I was hearing it. How the Christianity came, and then with the culture of the Yoruba, how it came and overshadowed everything. And then you quoted Sheikh Ilori, Sheikh Adam Ilori, when he was saying that Islam was, as far as the 11th century, Islam was in Yoruba land already. So Islam has preceded, Islam was there even before in Yoruba land. It quoted the Eid celebration that the colonialists came and made in the Muslim Badagry. But what happened today? What happened today is the cultural influence. That is what is happening to the Arabs today. You think the children of the Arabs of today, even in Saudi today, you think in the next 20 years they will behave like the children of the Arabs, their parents of the 20 years? They won't. What is happening? The cultural influence, the West, they are taking music, they are taking all of this to them. That is what we are saying. And then at the end of the day, they will start saying, okay, we want to do this. You see them removing their scarf. Before it was unheard of for them to remove their niqab. It's not even niqab now. They are putting, you go to Haram today, you see people with their hair out as a stylish hair, and then the Arabs. That is just what we are saying. So you as an individual, what can you do to take yourself from this slavery bondage? It is your responsibility now. It's not, Allah is not going to ask you about other people. You as an individual, what can you do to save your family from it? Because it's a reality. It's happening everywhere. You understand? So the Sharia panel, they're saying that it's even an affront on us, the Yoruba Muslims. They're saying, how can we, the Constitution section 37, sections 37 and 38, gave us this constitutional right, and then you are telling us that we don't have right to private family within our family. I want my dispute to be settled Islamically. You say no. So I hope this is very clear. I'm saying this because I believe I'm speaking to the right audience with respect to these issues. You know, it's something that has been bothering us, and then it's something that needs to be understood. So you have to be very careful. Look for a Muslim woman to marry. It's not an excuse. Someone will say, I wanted to marry a Muslim woman, and then the family treated me bad, and then here is a Christian lady, she was nice to me, I married. Is she the last Muslim on earth? Is that the last Muslim family in the world? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك